The house was silent, but not in a peaceful way. More like the stillness of a storm that already passed and left everything broken. She was gone. The car, the luggage, even the coffee mug with the Boss Babe lettering she always used when she wanted to feel important. All gone. I stood in the kitchen staring at the dog bowl. Empty. I filled it. Rex looked up at me like he already knew, like dogs do. He ate slowly, tail barely wagging. It was my 50th birthday. You'd think someone might mention it. Instead, I got, "Don't wait up. I'm meeting Kara," while she spritzed on perfume she only ever used when she was cheating or pretending she wasn't. New dress. Nails done. Hair blown out. She didn't even glance at me when she said it. I nodded. Said nothing. That's what I'd learned over the years. Silence is its own kind of weapon. I watched the driveway camera as she pulled away. Watched her hit the left blinker when Kara's street was to the right. Watched her car disappear. Then I made eggs. Fed Rex a little bacon. Printed the documents. Burned the audio backup. Sealed the manila envelope. Addressed it by hand. Walked it to the curb. Slid it into the mailbox like I was sending a birthday card to hell. At noon, I got the notification. She'd posted. There she was. Poolside. Bright pink bikini she'd bought secretly 2 months ago. The one she lied about and said was for just in case we went to Cabo. She was beside him, Jason, the work husband. He was the kind of guy who calls himself an operator on LinkedIn and still uses cologne from high school. They were holding cocktails, laughing, legs intertwined like it was a honeymoon shoot for morons. The caption? Finally, something big, sweat droplets, cocktail glass. Clever, right? I didn't like the post. Didn't comment. Didn't text. Just sat back and sipped the coffee I'd brewed 5 hours ago, now cold and bitter, which felt right. You know, more than 90% of people listening to stories like this don't even subscribe. And yeah, I get it. It's easy to forget. But it's what lets the team keep digging into stories like mine, the quiet ones, the ones with sharp edges beneath calm surfaces. So if you're still here, do me a favor, hit that button. It helps more than you know. Anyway, she thought I'd be sitting at home sulking. That's her favorite image of me. Passive, boring, dependent. A man who'd never go big. But what she didn't realize was that the man she mocked had already been busy. Not just this morning. For weeks. She'd been posting selfies. I'd been gathering receipts. She thought she had a secret. I'd built a file. She thought she was going big by disappearing for the weekend with her younger boy toy and flaunting it in front of her half-drunk co-workers on social media. She didn't know I'd sent her company's compliance department a 42-page packet. Expense reports, meeting logs, audio files, and a voice memo of them laughing. Her and Jason, joking about relabeling the Cancun summit as a training session so we can charge it to corporate. Oh, and the Cancun summit? Yeah, she told me it was all-women leadership bonding. Meanwhile, Jason was listed as executive development support on the booking itinerary. I know this because she left the PDF in the downloads folder. Amateur hour. The envelope I mailed wasn't anonymous. It didn't have to be. It was signed, time-stamped, and had a one-line note. I believe this qualifies under Section 6.2 of the Ethics Policy. Section 6.2, abuse of discretionary funds resulting in reputational damage or internal audit. I know that because I helped her write the damn code of conduct years ago when her company merged and needed a fresh compliance layout. She was too busy planning her next brunch to actually learn what went into it. I wasn't. And now? Now she was drinking daiquiris with a man who still wore socks with boat shoes, while the first domino had already tipped. By Monday, she'd wish the only thing she lost was her Instagram account. Because some men buy a sports car for their 50th. I bought consequences. It started with a knock on a glass door. Not dramatic. Not loud. Just enough to interrupt a Monday morning that had already veered off track. Marcus, the VP of Compliance, stood in the doorway holding a plain manila envelope like it was radioactive. No return address. But it's addressed directly to me, he said, placing it on the edge of the CEO's desk like it might bite. Paul, the CEO, gray temples, silk tie, 2 failed marriages, barely glanced up. And Marcus didn't sit. There's an audio file. A voice memo. You need to hear it. Paul sighed, clicked his mouse, opened his inbox. The subject line from Marcus. Urgent, confidential disclosure packet. Inside was a Dropbox link. The contents were organized like a case file, dates, source metadata, expense reports. But it was the audio that made his mouth go dry. You think they'll catch it? Her voice asked, giggling. It was unmistakably her. Candace, Director of Client Relations. 6 years with the company, face of the brand. Glowing testimonials all over LinkedIn. Not if you call it a leadership offsite again, Jason's voice replied. The same Jason who'd been put on probation last quarter for boundary issues and misuse of the company card. She laughed harder. God, I love pulling these from thin air. Remember when we rode off the wine bar as a sommelier-led seminar? Jason, and then called that hot tub night a wellness module. They laughed. Paul didn't. He scrubbed the audio forward. New date. New file. Her again. The Cancun receipts are in the shared drive. Just swap the file names to the onboarding folder. No one checks there. Jason, already done. That's why I keep you around. Click. The recording ended. Paul's screen blinked back to the folder. One labeled, Supporting Docs. Inside, 5 PDFs, each one correlating the voice memos with travel expenses, calendar entries, timestamps, and anonymized booking confirmations. The name of the resort? Clearwater Orchid. He turned back to Marcus. Where is she right now? Marcus, pale, Clearwater Orchid. Same suite. Same client. Same justification. Paul closed the laptop. She's posted 3 Instagram stories in the last hour. Marcus continued quietly, tagging the company, hashtagging it with #execlife. The last one said, finally, something big. Paul's mouth tightened. This wasn't just a rogue employee acting cute with company perks. This was exposure. Bad press. External audit triggers. And she had the nerve to tag the company while neck-deep in fraudulent filings? Is Jason still on probation? Paul asked. Marcus hesitated. Technically, he's supposed to be shadowing under direct supervision. But clearly not. Paul's eyes scanned the desk, saw the framed photo of last year's company awards gala. Candace stood beside him in that photo, smiling, confident, praised for her flair and client magic. God, what a fool. And you're sure the timestamps match? Yes, Marcus said. Everything checks out, including IP logs from the shared drive. Paul exhaled slowly, as if letting go of something he'd clung to for too long, like the belief that she was just eccentric, not dangerous. How long have you had this? He asked. 10 minutes. Paul nodded. Then we're already 10 minutes behind. He turned to his assistant's number. Put legal on hold. Call HR. And I want all discretionary accounts frozen until further notice. I don't care if it screws up the rest of Q3. We'll survive that. We won't survive a scandal. Marcus added quietly. There's one more thing. Paul didn't look up. She's not the only one mentioned. There are other voices. Other receipts. This wasn't a one-time joke. There's a pattern. How many people does she name? Marcus hesitated. You. Once. The silence in the room collapsed like a sinkhole. Excuse me. It's faint. Offhand. But in one of the audios, she jokes to Jason, Paul would sign off on a marching band if you told him it had ROI. Paul's jaw locked. Not because of the insult, but because it was true. He had signed off on that invoice. $8,200 for an event, brand experience activation. He'd rolled his eyes and approved it. Trusted her. He rose. Slowly. Walked to the window. The city skyline stretched out like a sea of sharp edges. Start drafting her suspension notice, he said. And Jason's. I want both of them off internal systems by end of day. Marcus didn't move. Paul glanced back. What? There's another name tied to this submission, Marcus said. Someone who compiled all of it. Paul raised an eyebrow. Internal. No. But connected. Who? Marcus passed him the final page of the report. At the bottom, neatly typed, filed in accordance with ethics procedure by Thomas Langston, independent consultant, certified in forensic expense analysis. Paul read the name again, slowly, then turned to Marcus. Who the hell is Thomas Langston? Marcus replied, her husband. The sun was perfect that afternoon. Not too hot. Just the right amount of breeze to tousle hair and make champagne bubbles seem cinematic. Candace lounged on a striped cabana chair by the infinity pool, leg draped lazily over Jason's thigh. Her head was tilted back, sunglasses perched high, pretending she didn't know the resort staff were staring. Of course they were. She was gorgeous, she knew it. And Jason, young, tan, slightly dumb in that flattering way, was her prize. A trophy she'd borrowed from the intern program and never returned. She had just uploaded another candid photo. Caption: when you manifest success, the universe answers cocktail glass sun sparkles #execescape, #work hard play harder. Tag it her company name. She laughed at her own brilliance. 5 comments already. One from Amanda in HR, jealous smiling face with hard eyes, another from a VP's wife. You look incredible. Jason nudged her shoulder. You're glowing. This whole place is watching you. They should, she said, stretching. I earned this. Earned. She liked that word. Even if what she'd actually done was fudge a few budgets, reroute a few tickets, and flirt her way through 3 layers of approval chains. No one ever questioned Candace. She made people feel good. She smiled, people signed things. Her phone buzzed on the table. She glanced. Paul. She let it ring. Jason asked, Bossman? Yup, she said, sipping. Probably forgot I'm on PTO. It rang again. And again. Jason frowned. Might be serious. She sighed and answered on the 4th ring, rolling her eyes before she even said hello. What now? Paul's voice was different. Clipped. Cold. You need to leave the resort. Right now. And do not post anything else. Not one word. Candace blinked. I'm sorry, what? I'm not playing, Candace. Delete your latest post. Don't speak to anyone. Don't check out under your name. Leave. Quietly. She laughed. Relax. I'm on vacation. This sounds like you need a drink. No. You need a lawyer. She stopped smiling. Paul's voice lowered. If even half of what's in the file I just read is accurate, you won't have a job by Monday. Possibly not even a reference. You've exposed the company to risk and… What file? She snapped, suddenly sitting up. He didn't answer. Paul, she barked. What are you talking about? What file? But the line had gone dead. She stared at the screen. Call ended. Her chest tightened. Jason sat up beside her. Everything okay? She didn't answer. Instead, she opened her email. Nothing. Slack. No new messages. Then she checked the company portal. Access denied. She forced a laugh. Probably just a network thing. She opened her Instagram. Still public. Still live. She scrolled to the last post. The caption now felt radioactive. Finally, something big. She stared at those words. Suddenly, they didn't feel funny anymore. Jason reached for her champagne glass. She pulled it away, fingers trembling. What's going on? He asked again. She whispered, almost to herself. He said, there's a report. From who? She shook her head. I don't know. Something about if it's true. And then he hung up. Jason frowned. Did he sound pissed? No, she said. That's the scary part. He sounded done. They sat in silence, listening to the hum of the pool's filter system and the distant sound of another guest ordering mojitos. Then Jason muttered, Think it's about Cancun? Her face snapped toward him. Why the hell would you say that? I don't know. Just we did stretch that budget. She stood up abruptly, tossing her towel onto the lounger. Get dressed. We need to leave. What? Now. She didn't answer, just walked briskly toward the suite, opening her phone to check her bank app. The screen flashed. Session expired. Please log in. She tried. Password incorrect. She tried again. Then again. Locked out. Jason called after her. What's going on? She stopped walking, stared down at her phone like it had betrayed her. Her voice was smaller now. I think I just stepped in something huge. Jason looked confused. What kind of huge? She finally looked at him. The kind where someone else already knew. And he's not calling to fight. He's calling to finish. The spa lobby smelled like eucalyptus and lavender and money. Other people's money. Candace barely noticed the decor, too busy tapping her phone with freshly manicured nails, trying to reload the booking confirmation page. She'd chosen the Luxe Renewal package. 90 minutes, hot stones, champagne rinse, collagen mask, and some $1,000 cream slathered on her back by someone named Giselle. The receptionist smiled. You're all set. Just need the card to hold the slot. Candace handed over her platinum card like it was a royal decree. Swipe. Beep. Then the worst sound. The second beep. Denial. Sorry. The receptionist said, politely shielding the screen. It's not going through. Candace gave a short laugh. Try again. Their fraud detection is annoying. Swipe. Beep. Swipe. Beep. She pulled another card from her bag. Black. Heavy. Swipe. Beep. The receptionist was trying not to frown now. Candace leaned in. There's more than enough on that card. Just type it in manually. I did, the woman said, apologetic but firm. It's being declined by the issuer. It's not on our end. Candace stared at the screen, then at the woman, then at her phone. Give me 5 minutes, she said, walking out to the lounge. Jason was waiting with 2 robes over his arm. We're doing the couple's massage, right? She didn't look at him. Hold on. She dialed Thomas. Straight to voicemail. Again. Voicemail. 3rd time, just to see. Still voicemail. She opened the banking app. The familiar blue and white loading screen flickered, then blinked out. Session expired. Please log in. She did. Password incorrect. She tried again. Then again. Locked. Frozen. A single pop-up message appeared. Joint account closure processed. 8:01 a.m. She blinked at the time. This morning? No. Wait. She'd been sipping a mimosa at 8:01, laughing at her own Instagram caption. Jason had just taken that pool photo. She hit help, waited, tapped her foot. A chatbot popped up. Would you like to speak to a representative? Yes, she typed. Urgent. Locked out of account. Error. 10 minutes later, a real voice came on the line. Too chipper. Hi. This is Alyssa from Financial Services. How can I assist you? My joint account was closed without my knowledge, Candace snapped. I need it reopened. Okay. Give me one moment while I pull up the record. Soft keyboard sounds. Thank you for waiting. Yes, it looks like the account was closed at the request of the co-owner. A certified closure, notarized. Everything looks in order. Candace's stomach dropped. I am the co-owner, she hissed. I did not approve that. Right. The system shows Thomas Langston as primary on the closure documents. You're listed as secondary. That's not how joint accounts work. In most cases it is, the rep said sweetly. But in this case, the account was originally opened using his asset declaration. So the institution recognizes his authority on closure without your consent. Candace stopped breathing for a second. Are you telling me he just took everything? No, Alyssa said calmly. We're telling you the account is no longer active under your credentials. Candace gripped the phone. I want to reopen it. Now. For reactivation, the rep replied, reading from a script, please submit notarized identity verification and legal standing. Candace stared into the lobby mirror. Her own face, tighter, paler. Legal standing, she repeated. Yes, ma'am. Since the closure occurred under certified terms and the account was linked to declared separate assets, reactivation would require proof of marital legal standing in the jurisdiction of original filing. Otherwise, we can't verify your authority. Translation, you're locked out. Jason approached. You okay? She hung up, looked at him, then turned her phone toward him. The screen showed her last balance, just a blurred thumbnail now. Gone. Jason raised an eyebrow. What does that mean? Candace finally let the truth out, one brittle syllable at a time. It means, I just got erased from my own damn money. Jason blinked. Wait, like all of it? She didn't answer. He frowned. I thought you said you had, like, full control, that he didn't even look at finances. Candace shook her head, dazed. He didn't. Until he did. The receptionist called out from the counter. Miss Langston, we'll need a card to finalize the booking. Candace turned back to her, smiled thinly, and lied through her perfect teeth. Cancel it. Turns out I don't need a massage. Because the ache wasn't in her shoulders anymore. It was somewhere much deeper. Somewhere expensive. The front door clicked shut behind her with a finality she hadn't expected. No barking dog. No soft jazz playing on the kitchen speaker like usual. No scent of his weird cinnamon coffee blend she always mocked. Silence. She stood in the entryway, suitcase handle still gripped like a lifeline. Her heels echoed across the tile. Her house, the one she used to feel so powerful in, now felt like a museum exhibit. Everything still in its place, but colder. Staged. She spotted them immediately. 2 envelopes on the hallway table. No note. No explanation. Just 2 slim beige rectangles. One labeled with her name. The other with Jason's. Her stomach tightened. The first was from Human Resources. A suspension letter. Dry legal wording. Pending formal investigation into financial and ethical discrepancies. Access to company systems revoked. Official review scheduled. Confidentiality enforced. There was a single line highlighted in yellow. Please refrain from contacting any current employees or attempting to access internal systems during this time. She read it twice, as if it might soften on second glance. It didn't. The second envelope wasn't addressed to her, but she opened it anyway. Inside was a subpoena, filed under corporate audit proceedings. Attached complaint. Misuse of corporate funds. Unreported romantic entanglement between management tiers. Violation of ethics disclosure policies. The exhibits list ran a full page. 9 digital voice memos. 12 expense logs. 6 months worth of calendar entries. Direct messages exported from Teams. An internal anonymous complaint filed 7 weeks ago. Her hands were shaking. Then her eyes hit a line, highlighted. Romantic involvement between managers and direct reports must be disclosed immediately or result in termination. She blinked. Once. Twice. Jason was her subordinate. She'd never filed the disclosure. Never thought she had to. Everyone knew, right? HR joked about it. Amanda made those comments at the holiday party. Hell, her own assistant once referred to Jason as your little shadow. But no one ever wrote it down. And apparently, no one was joking anymore. She read further. The complaint wasn't just internal. It had been elevated. An external audit firm had been looped in, as per Clause 3.8 in the Fiduciary Oversight Amendment. Thomas's name was listed as the original submitter. His handwriting, maybe. Or maybe it had just been typed. Either way, he'd known exactly how to play it. She sank into the hallway bench. Mind racing. This wasn't a slap on the wrist. This was a scorched earth move. Jason, oblivious, texted her around then, still hung over LOL. Can't believe that mango thing had vodka in it. Did you land okay? She didn't respond. 2 minutes later, he followed up. Want to grab lunch? Got leftovers. She nearly laughed. Lunch. There might not be a career left to digest by noon. She opened the portal again. Still locked. Checked the HR thread in her private Gmail. Nothing new. Then checked the company's press site. Still no public announcements. But she could feel it. The noose tightening. The room shrinking. She wandered into the kitchen, half expecting her wine fridge to offer a miracle. Instead, she found a small white card resting inside. It was from a hotel, Clearwater Orchid. Same place they'd stayed. Except it wasn't hers. It was his reservation. Jason's. Booked under his name and another guest. The name? Thomas Langston. She stood frozen. Confused. Jason had invited her husband to the resort? No, that didn't make sense. She flipped the card. A note was scribbled on the back in careful cursive. Hope the room was worth it. It cost me nothing. But it just cost you everything. That was Thomas's handwriting. She knew it. Jason had never seen it. But she had. On every birthday card, every mortgage agreement, every sticky note that said, you left the stove on, or Rex ate a sock again. He'd been there. He'd walked through the same halls. Watched. Waited. She checked the security camera app. He'd removed her access. The footage was gone. She dropped the subpoena on the table and leaned against the counter, trying to breathe through the rising tightness in her chest. Everything felt like a setup now. And the worst part? It had been executed perfectly. No shouting. No confrontation. No dramatic scene at the airport. Just facts. Delivered like scalpels. Jason texted again. You good? She stared at the screen, thumb hovering. Then finally typed, check your mail. She'd always believed her value was untouchable. Not just because she brought in clients or dazzled at conferences, but because she made herself the centerpiece. She crafted an image over years, witty, composed, too good to fail. And the company let her have it, because who'd risk offending the face of their brand? That illusion shattered with a single login error. Access denied. Your credentials have been temporarily disabled. She stared at the screen, refreshing. Again. Then tried the company VPN. Denied. Email. Locked out. Slack workspace. You are not a member of any current channels. She clicked through every possible route like a surgeon working blind. Nothing worked. But one tab still opened. Not secure. Not internal. Just old. The Employee Lounge Forum. It wasn't official, just a public message board hosted offsite for off-the-record discussion. HR pretended it didn't exist. Leadership rolled their eyes. She used to laugh about it. Only bitter nobodies post there, she once told a junior associate. It's therapy for the expendable. But now it was a crime scene. The top thread had over 300 replies. Thread title, Guess Who's Not Invincible? She clicked it. The first post was simple. So, apparently you can get fired for off-site seminars if you leave receipts in a shared drive. Face with tears of joy. Beneath it, a screenshot. An expense report from Cancun. Her name. Jason's name. Line item, Sunset Therapy Experience. Description, Client Wellness Plus Onboarding. Next image, a partial email thread. Her laughing. Jason calling Paul pushover of the year. Her reply, he'd approve a yacht if I called it brand immersion. Then came the audio clips. Someone had transcribed snippets. Switch the receipts. Move them to the onboarding folder. Just call it an alignment dinner. Her voice. Her laugh. The replies stung. Yo, this is real? She's toast. I've been waiting for this day for years. Can someone forward this to our clients? Audit incoming. She brought it on herself. She tried to scroll faster than her eyes could read. Then one comment stopped her. A username she hadn't seen in 5 years. Paul won't save you. The profile picture was blank, but she knew exactly who it was. Eli Navarro, former project manager. Quiet. Too quiet. She'd pushed him out after one failed pitch. Said he lacked polish. Her actual words during the exit review? He's just not a cultural fit. He never said a word. Just left. But now he had posted something simple. No exclamation points. No laughter. Just. Should have watched who you mocked. Some men take notes. She froze. Her face flushed like a faucet turned hot. Because Eli was the one who flagged Jason's time cards. She remembered now. brought up a discrepancy. She'd shut him down. Hard. Told him to focus on his own growth. Now here he was, joining the dog pile. She clicked his username. No contact info. No other posts. Just that one comment. Hanging there like a dagger. She refreshed the thread. It had grown, 20 more replies. Someone had posted a meme of her face photoshopped onto a sinking ship. The ship's name was HR Compliance. Another used an old group photo, cropped everyone else out but her and Jason. Caption: Team Morale. She slammed the laptop shut and stumbled back. The world was collapsing and she hadn't even opened her mouth. This wasn't a rumor anymore. It was a virus, spreading in every inbox, every Slack DM, every whispered hallway conversation. Her brand, her power, her curated identity, unraveling in real time. And the worst part? No one was coming to stop it. No one was defending her. Not even HR. They were watching it happen, too. Maybe enjoying it. Her phone vibrated. A notification. Jason again. Babe, do you think they're serious? She didn't reply. Not because she didn't know, but because she finally did. Her mother always answered on the second ring. Always had. It was one of those small, dependable things Candace had taken for granted, like automatic espresso shots in her office or her assistant finishing sentences before she spoke them. But this time, it went to voicemail. She stared at the screen, stunned for a beat, then redialed. Again, nothing. A pit opened in her chest. She texted instead, "Call me. It's bad," and waited. It took 7 minutes. Longest 7 of her life. The call came from a landline. Her mother's kitchen, probably. Candace answered before the first ring even finished. "Mom." But the voice on the other end wasn't frantic or comforting. It was low. Flat. "I already spoke to him." The floor seemed to shift under her. "Who?" Candace asked, though she already knew. Her mother didn't answer the question. She went on. "He told me what he sent. What he found. What he recorded. What he filed." Candace closed her eyes. "Mom, Her mother cut her off. "He said you mocked him. For years. He said you told people he was small. Dull. Weak." Candace swallowed. It wasn't like that. A pause. Then the coldest sentence she'd ever heard from her own mother. "She said you ruined her birthday." There was a click. A throat clearing. And then his voice came through. Calm. Even. "I didn't ruin anything," Thomas said. "She asked for something big. I gave it to her." Candace went cold. "You're with her?" she asked, meaning her mother. But Thomas didn't answer her directly. He kept speaking, more to her mother than to her. Every year she asked for something. A trip. A party. A reset. A reinvention. And I gave it. Quietly. Without applause. Every year, I gave more. Silence. Candace could almost hear the weight of it landing on her mother's face. Then her mom finally spoke. Softly. Almost regretfully. "She's been reckless," she said. "I know. I told myself it was just a phase." She was stressed. Tired. "You were always so calm. I thought you'd wait it out. I never thought you'd actually leave." Another pause. Thomas replied, "Neither did she." And then nothing. The line went dead. Candace sat on the floor, back against the kitchen cabinets, staring at nothing. Her own voice echoed faintly in her head. "He'll never leave. He doesn't have it in him." He did. He had it in him all along. He just hadn't used it until now. She opened her call log. Scrolled past Jason. Past Amanda. Past HR. No new messages. No missed calls. No one checking in. She typed another message to her mom. Deleted it. Tried calling again. Voicemail. She looked around the house. So many things he'd bought. Repaired. Maintained. The leaky faucet in the guest bathroom. Fixed. The patio lights. Rewired. The HVAC that had nearly caught fire last summer. He'd stayed up all night with a flashlight and a manual while she slept through it. He'd done everything she never bragged about because she was too busy curating someone shinier. And now? Now she was calling a man she hadn't respected in years, just to beg him not to walk away. Too late. She looked at the photo on the fridge. Their last Christmas. Matching sweaters. Him holding the dog. She was half turned away, already glancing at something off-screen. Now she couldn't even remember what it was. She clicked her phone screen off and finally let the silence settle in. The man she thought would always be there wasn't hiding. He was gone, and she had no idea where he went. She walked into the HR conference room with the same stride she'd used for years, heels confident, shoulders back, face composed. She even wore a navy blazer she hadn't touched in months, hoping the familiar silhouette might remind them who she used to be here. Candace Langston, Director of Client Relations, the woman who closed 7-figure accounts with a smile and a 30-minute pitch. The room didn't flinch. Paul was there. So was Marcia from HR and Aaron from legal, who didn't even bother with small talk. Just a notepad and a sharp stare. Candace cleared her throat and started strong. I want to be very clear. I'm here because I feel blindsided. I believe what's happening to me is retaliation, personal in nature, based on private matters that shouldn't concern the company. Marcia blinked slowly. Private matters? Yes, Candace said, folding her hands. My personal life. My private relationship with someone outside of my marriage has been used to engineer an attack on my professional standing. That is, at minimum, inappropriate, and at worst, harassment. Aaron clicked his pen. Paul didn't look up. Candace went on, warming into her performance. There's no evidence of misconduct. Just rumors. Half-truths. Maybe even doctored messages. I've built this company's image for 6 years. If this is about making me the scapegoat for a few jealous voices on the forum. Paul finally spoke. His voice was razor flat. No one suspended you over gossip. Candace stopped mid-sentence. Paul continued. We suspended you because someone documented everything. Expense logs, calendar access, audio, emails, and yes, your direct messages. She opened her mouth, closed it. Aaron slid a folder across the table. Inside, printed chats, Slack threads, some mundane, others damning. Her message to Jason on March 12th. Tell accounting we met with that wellness consultant. I'll log the spa dinner under mental health initiative. Another. If Paul ever asks, I'll say you were part of the onboarding panel. Just smile and nod. One more, dated 2 weeks ago. Thomas is too dumb to notice. He still thinks a receipt is a guarantee. Poor guy. The paper crinkled slightly under her fingers. She couldn't feel her hands. Those are just the internal communications, Paul added. We haven't even gotten to the off-platform records. She tried to scoff, but it came out hollow. How would you even have those? Aaron didn't blink. Our IT manager received a formal request. Subpoena adjacent. Signed and filed. Your husband initiated it, with legal standing. 2 weeks ago. Marcia added gently. He had administrative access for several months. Long before this came to light. He requested a full digital archive under standard spousal asset tracing. Perfectly legal. Candace's lips moved, but no words came. 2 weeks ago? That was before the birthday. Before the Instagram post. Before the resort. Before she said, out loud, to Jason, I think he still believes I'm the best thing that ever happened to him. She'd said it while pouring sangria. And laughed. They probably had that too. Paul stood. This meeting was a courtesy. Legal will be in touch. Do not contact employees. Do not attempt to access systems. This is no longer internal. She sat frozen for a moment after they left the room. Her mind was noise. When she finally got home, she dug out her laptop, fired it up, pulled open every chat she thought was clever, every emoji-filled private joke with Jason, every sarcastic jab at her team, every thread where she told him which phrases to use in expense forms, which lies to copy and paste. She read them all, one by one, the way he must have. How long had he been watching? Compiling? She'd always joked that Thomas didn't understand tech, that he was analog, that he still wrote grocery lists by hand, that he only used Excel for recipes. But apparently, he'd been building something. Quietly, invisibly. A trail, a blueprint, a record. And now, every smug message she'd sent was lit up in cold blue time-stamped fonts. Retrievable, reviewable, damning. She opened one last message. A voice memo she'd sent to Jason during a layover in Atlanta. She was whispering, conspiratorial, laughing. Honestly, if Thomas ever found out, he'd probably thank you. At least one of us is showing me attention. She hit pause. Sat back, stared into the black screen as her own voice echoed back to her, empty, and understood for the first time. It wasn't just exposure. It was the end of the narrative she controlled. It was the subject line that stopped her heart. Welcome our new director of internal controls and ethics. She'd seen a dozen of those emails over the years. Most she ignored. Some she mocked. Usually, it was some dry compliance type from Deloitte or a poached analyst from a second-tier competitor. But this one had a name. She reread it 3 times before opening it. Please join us in welcoming Thomas Langston to our senior leadership team as Director of Internal Controls and Ethics. Thomas brings a rare combination of financial acuity and investigatory precision, with a background in forensic accounting and enterprise compliance. His experience includes multi-agency coordination, vendor integrity audits, and third-party ethics training implementation. Below that, his headshot. Professional. Crisp suit. Faint smile. Eyes that didn't blink. Her husband. No. Ex. Or maybe something worse. She stared at the photo, heart pounding. Her inbox flooded with reactions. Wow, he looks sharp. Finally, someone serious in ethics. Didn't know we were hiring up. Amanda from HR replied all with a confetti emoji. Candace's hand trembled on the mouse. She scrolled down. There was a personal note from Paul, her boss. Thomas's first task will be a full audit of discretionary accounts and executive reimbursement practices. We are confident he will help us uphold the highest ethical standards moving forward. Discretionary accounts. That meant spa charges, resort costs, gift dinners, alignment retreats. All of it. She couldn't breathe. Thomas had taken her seat at the table. Not metaphorically. Literally. The same office suite she used to visit during budget reviews. The same boardroom where she once laughed at compliance briefings. The space where she bragged about being too valuable to audit. He was sitting there now, with badge access, IT control, legal clearance, and every file. She scrambled to her files. Tried to log into old spreadsheets. Closed. Tried to view shared drives. Nothing. Even her old Google Docs, locked. He'd frozen them. Digitally erased her fingerprints from the very processes she'd once led. And she had no idea this was coming. Because she never asked what Thomas was studying at night. Or why he spent hours at the dining table reading legalese. She thought he was bored. Harmless. He wasn't bored. He was building a weapon. She remembered laughing once, years ago, when he mentioned taking a community college course in fraud prevention. She'd said, "What are you going to do, Thomas? Catch someone returning a toaster twice?" He'd just smiled. Apparently, he wasn't after toasters. He was after her. Her phone buzzed. A new message from Jason. "Did you see the email? Tell me that's not your Thomas?" She didn't reply. Another message popped up. Her mother. "He's not playing games, is he?" She stared at the screen. Couldn't form words. Thomas had done something she hadn't thought possible. He hadn't just exposed her. He hadn't just left. He'd moved in. Into the company. Into its guts. Its policies. Its systems. He now was the ethics department. Her reputation. Her control. Her entire ecosystem. He was the architect of its dismantling. She used to scoff at men who stay quiet. Now she realized that was the warning sign. Because the loud ones explode. The quiet ones build blueprints. And walk right through the front door while you're still laughing at the punchline. She was brushing her teeth when the phone buzzed, still half asleep and pretending that the previous 6 days hadn't shattered her career, her image, her finances. She let it ring out once. Then again. On the third, she checked the screen. Brandon Kessler, counsel. She answered with a grunt. His voice was clipped. Exhausted. "We need to talk. Now." She wiped her mouth. "Jesus, Brandon, can it wait an hour?" "No," he said flatly. "Check your contract. Page 11. Clause 7.4, subsection D." She pulled up the PDF on her iPad, still in the important documents folder she hadn't dared open since Monday. Scrolled mechanically. Most of it was boilerplate. Termination clauses, options vesting schedules, dispute resolution. Until she saw it. 7.4. D. Any undisclosed interpersonal relationship between employees which results in financial or reputational compromise of department integrity shall void all severance agreements and render equity awards null. Her brain caught up. "What the hell is this?" she whispered. Brandon exhaled. It was slipped into the last policy revision packet. Quietly, right after the change in ethics leadership. "No," she said. "No way. I would have seen that. I read that update." He cut her off. "You read the summary. Not the appendix. They buried it in the revisions document. 97 pages. You signed off. Electronically. Timestamped. 2 months ago." Silence. "Who wrote it?" she asked. She already knew. Brandon confirmed it anyway. "Thomas." He co-authored the compliance overhaul. It was one of the first things he did. Her stomach turned. "He knew," she said quietly. "He knew this would happen." Brandon didn't respond. "You told me we were protected. The options. The buyout." He sighed. "You were. Until you violated that clause. Which, according to the evidence submitted, you did. Repeatedly." She stared at the screen. "I can't get any of it. No severance. No vested shares. Nothing. Legally, the company's in the clear. HR just filed the formal cancellation of your post-termination benefits." Her mouth went dry. "Is there anything we can fight?" He hesitated. "You might be able to argue reputational damage for the internal forum. But not the contract. That clause is airtight." "Of course it is," she said flatly. "He wrote it." Brandon paused, then said softly, "He didn't just write it. He installed it. Like a tripwire. And waited." She hung up, dropped the phone onto the couch cushion, and sat there, unmoving. It was Friday. 1 week ago, she was sipping champagne, soaking in a resort pool, mocking the man she'd spent years belittling, laughing with someone who couldn't even spell repercussion. Now, her bank account was still frozen. Her email inbox was a digital autopsy. Her LinkedIn comments disabled, and her entire future canceled by a single paragraph she hadn't bothered to read. She turned to the iPad again. One last video file remained in her camera roll, unsent, the one she'd planned to send Thomas that night. As a joke, she opened it. There she was, sunlit, smug, blowing out candles on a 3-tier cake Jason had ordered from the overpriced patisserie downstairs. Her eyes were glossy. Her laughter was loud. Jason stood behind her, grinning, arms around her waist. "Say something for your hubby," he teased. Candace turned to the camera, champagne raised. She winked. "To men who never go big," she said, clinking the glass. The screen faded. She didn't even blink as the tears came. Then, ping. A new email. From Thomas Langston. Subject, bigger than you imagined. No body text. Just the subject line. Clean. Surgical. She stared at it for a long time, then hit reply. Typed nothing. Deleted the draft. Because what do you say to the man who didn't scream, but rewrote the rules, moved the walls, sealed every door, and let you walk in, smiling? You say nothing. You sit in the ruins of a game you thought you were winning, and you toast the man who didn't go big. He built big, quietly, right underneath your feet.